Hi, everybody. Welcome to our very first inaugural episode of Disc Covers, the comprehensive podcast about Terry Pratchett's Discworld books, where we read, review, and rate all 41 of the Discworld novels. I'm Iris J, and with me are my co-hosts. Did y'all want to introduce yourselves? Grace, why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm the internet's beloved Princess Grace. It's lovely to be here on this most auspicious of podcasts.
Awesome. And, June?
Hi, I'm June. I'm just June. I'm excited to read these books, although I just now heard that there's 41 of them. I knew there were a lot, but I didn't have an exact number till now. Oh, God.
Is that counting like
so
the children's ones and the ones that were covered?
That is counting the young adult ones.
I was going to ask because I thought there were 40, not 41.
41, baby.
I heard there was a secret book.
Yeah, there was a posthumous one published after he died, so...
Oh,
luckily,
I'm so sorry to hear that.
I mean, well, not luckily, because I don't want to say luckily he's dead, because that's awful, but luckily there will be no more than 41, because his daughter has already said that she's not writing any more Discworld novels. She's just going to manage the property. Anyway, sorry, BALINA, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm BALINA. I'm not sure if there's anything else that the internet should know about me, to be honest. We'll figure that out when we get there.
Yeah! But yeah, so, cool. So, before we begin, just a little back story on why I decided to start this podcast. Yeah, so when I was in high school and a little bit of college, I was a huge Discworld fan, and I read through nearly all of the books, not sequentially, just like kind of whatever the library had in stock at the time. And I'd say that they influenced a decent amount of my sense of humor from back then. I haven't read them in like over a decade though, so with the announcement of the new TV series coming out for the BBC, The Watch, I really wanted to use it as kind of an excuse to dig back in and revisit these books and check out how they hold up, and also answer the eternal question of, if there's a lot of them, I mean, there's got to be one that's the best, right? Like, they're all probably good, but, you know, like, which one's
I'm so excited for us to
best?
eventually get to, like, the later books when I actually start getting into fights about which one's the best.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get
like,
so
perfect.
mad about how Feet of Clay is the best one.
nobody here is going to say that The Color of Magic is the best one. It will be by default, because this is the first episode, but I don't think anybody's going to argue that it's the best out of all of them.
No.
Well, I figure the whole reason we're doing this sequentially is, like the series, we don't have any clue what we're doing with this podcast. We're just all piling into a Discord call and seeing what happens, and that's pretty much what this reads like happened. And so this way, by the time we get to the actually good ones, we'll all have our feet under us, and we'll know what the hell we're doing.
Oh, exactly, yeah. Like, similar to how these books are pretty much dry runs for later, more elaborate volumes in the series, these early episodes can also be counted as dry runs for later, more elaborate episodes in the series.
If you're listening to this, thank you for listening to our weird experimental phase for some reason.
Yeah, I'm probably going to tell everyone to just start at the episode we do Reaper Man on, because that's what I do for the series, so...
Reaper Man, good. I can't wait to get to that one.
I have opinions on Reaper Man. Half of Reaper Man good.
Uh-oh.
No, June's completely correct, but we'll worry about that, in like 6 months when we get there.
Absolutely.
Does anyone else want to share their history with Discworld? I'll give my personal history. I have a personal love for Discworld because I was raised like super conservative and Christians. I missed out on pretty much all of the other fantasy that people recommend that like was big. Never read Harry Potter's, never read any of the young adult books that anyone thought like.
Oh no, you missed
but
out
at
on
some
Turf Wizard
point,
Boy.
I yeah, I mean, it's wild to watch that and just be like, I've never even read these books. But at some point, I found like Discworld and just dove deep into it, and so it was my fantasy of choice. Although it does make it weird to like have no background in the fantasy that he's parodying.
Yeah,
it's a bit interesting.
It's weird to Pratchett called this, the Wikipedia page says he set out to write a fantasy of blazing saddles, and he certainly succeeded at that. It doesn't mean it was a good idea.
Imagine reading Blazing or watching Blazing Saddles and have never seen a Western.
Yeah,
ever.
that was me as a child when my dad
experience.
showed me Blazing Saddles when I was like 10.
Oh dear.
Wow.
I mean, okay, I probably was like 12 when I got to see it, but again, we'll cover more of this stuff later. Grace, you want to go ahead? Because I know I'm probably going to go long on this section.
All right. So, when I was in high school, I was really into TV tropes, and if you're on TV tropes for any length of time, you hear about Discworld. So,
Grace, I didn't want to admit how I got into Discworld.
Well, there we go. I'm putting us both on blast then. So, I got the book, I got some of the books. I was going to give them a try. I started with this one, The Color of Magic, which, it was the first one published. It must be the first in a series. I later learned, no, that was wrong. But anyway, I bounced off that book and didn't pick the series up again until now. I'm impressed by,
All right, well, I'm sorry I made you read this book twice.
Now it's A, I can understand what it was going for when I was younger, and B, I honestly would not have finished this if it weren't for a deadline, and I appreciate, being able to talk about it with y'all.
So have you read any other Discworld books?
Nope, I've absorbed some of them, through osmosis, again, through said TV tropes articles. So I kind of know what's going to happen. I kind of know what it looks like, but nope, this is it. I read, the first, chunk of it when I was in high school, and that was about it. Let me tell you, it's a lot more it's more enjoyable when you can, pick up what it's going for, and I'll talk more about this later, but, the joke is the two flowers a tourist. I get it now,
I'm suddenly about 10 times more excited about this whole podcast series than I was, because I didn't realize we had some new eyes on this. Perfect. Okay. I came at this from a slightly weirder angle, because yes, I discovered this in early high school, like literally everybody does apparently, but I actually first got introduced to Discworld by way of the Mud. Which, it's, as far as I'm aware, it's still running. I think I accidentally loaded it a couple days ago and the page still came up, but just some friends got me into that way back when, and so my first real experiences were this kind of weird mishmash of the first dozen or so books. The real problem here was the fact that my high school didn't have any real idea how to block stuff on the internet properly, and they sure as hell didn't know how to block a telnet client. So I snuck out of a lot of classes to mess with that, and it was a huge chunk of what I did during high school.
Oh my god, that sounds so fun.
It was great. It was something I definitely needed, because I was a sociopathic little shit when I was a kid. So it was something that actually got me to socialize with people, and that was important. But it means that I kind of came into the book sideways, and every time I would come up on a plot development or something and go, "Oh, I remember where there's a quest based on this."
That is wild.
That's a really unique perspective.
So I came into it that way. I came into it through the 2 different adventure games that they've got. Of course, the adventure games are just cribbed super hard off of The Color of Magic and then Moving Pictures.
There were adventure games? I had no idea.
Oh yeah,
there were 2 adventure games.
Oh my gosh.
Makes sense. As the better Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it makes sense.
Wow, coming in with the hot takes already.
Hey, I legitimately beat the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy Infocom game.
That is impressive.
Sucks.
I have tried that game. That is genuinely impressive.
So you're the only person who ever figured out that you're supposed to take the junk mail to use it to block a fish later.
I do not know how I managed to puzzle out the Babelfish puzzle that as easily as I did, considering how young I was at the time.
God.
Yeah, no, I had to have been cheated on some of it. There's no way I would have figured out the T and no T at the same time.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, don't play the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy game. Just it's not worth it. It's very
Look
bad.
it up. Don't play it.
Yeah. It's well written and entertaining, but it's not fun to play.
It's from an older era of adventure games when, like, this is the only video game you're going to have for a while. They're expensive, and you expect them to last. And that includes a lot of, like, shitty dead ends and impossible puzzles, and also they're trying to get you to shell out money for the hint line. It is not a game design philosophy we tolerate much today.
Not with the internet, no, but we're getting way, way, way off topic.
Yeah. Discworld, though. I'm excited because we have a whole bunch of different perspectives coming in on the Discworld books. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this. Even if we have to slog through some stuff before we get to... I actually haven't read a lot of the early Discworld books. This is going to be interesting for me. I've mostly read later stuff, the Watch series, stuff like that. So I wouldn't say excited, given the quality of some of them, but...
No, at book 3 onwards, it gets a lot more interesting.
Yeah. I would say that these early ones are intriguing just to see, like, the rough drafts of some stuff that would come later on. Like, there's some very early, like... And I'm going to talk about it later, but there's some very early conceptualizations of things that Pratchett would go on to later very heavily revise. Yes, that's the word I'm looking for. Revise with an S. Because he realized that he could actually turn them into fully three-dimensional characters and concepts and not just one-note jokes. That being said, I was extremely surprised that arguably the overarching plot of this book entirely hinges upon asking whether or not the giant turtle actually fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, so...
Does it, though?
Like, at the end of the book, there's this, like... Oh, so they're going to go ask Atuan what's in your pants.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to find out what gender it is.
They specifically say sex, which I guess is better, but it's still a very strange thing.
Well, I mean, you sex an animal. That is the term you would use for that sort of thing. So it's the correct terminology. It's just that, we really should not try too hard to think about gender dynamics of giant turtles.
Their plan is to fly a rocket ship.
Have we tried asking it?
I don't think you can.
Okay,
it's
and
a
to be fair,
turtle.
that's what you would do. That's much less rude than plotting another course to go around the long way and check from behind.
I can't believe these fucking hats who want to, like, put together a spaceship just to look at my ass. Unbelievable.
Look, if I were a giant turtle and a civilization lived on my back atop some elephants, and they wanted to look at my dick, like, I would be flattered, but I'm also not sure I would let them come back home. Are the astronauts cute? Is the civilization nice? Am I trying to flirt with them?
Please don't make me think of whether or not Rincewind. How do you pronounce Rincewind? We should figure that out.
I always thought it was Rincewind.
Yeah, Rincewind. Like,
Rincewind.
A wind that is especially rinsey. But if you want to say Rincewind, I guess that's also valid. I mean, it's not a real word. I don't actually... Actually, let me look this up.
The games pronounce it Rincewind. I've always heard it Rincewind. Okay. So suddenly now I'm doubting my entire worldview, but I'm going to assume it's Rincewind unless somebody proves otherwise.
I can answer your question because there's a joke in there where it goes like, "What wind?" and then the next line is Rincewind.
You're right. Oh, thank God.
Okay.
Oh, thank God, you're right.
Okay.
I thought it was a John Constantine sort of a thing.
There's nothing quite like the experience of starting an audio format, like discussion of something you've only ever seen in text, and suddenly realizing you don't know how to pronounce anything.
This is going to be a fun podcast for that exact reason.
God, I hope I just said Atuan like several times correctly.
I think it's Atuan.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Well, again, I can't think about these things while we're recording because if someone tells me anything, I'm going to believe it.
I am simply going to call them large turtle friend.
That's fair.
And if a subsequent book introduces another turtle character, I will burn that bridge when I get to it.
There is a subsequent book that does that, but it's a very small turtle friend.
Oh, okay, good. Macro turtle and micro turtle, the two genders.
So which one of you is... No. Cool. So did we want to start off with, like, kind of going through a loose synopsis of the book's actions? Or do we want to just toss into, like, notes from the plot? Or how do we want to roll with that?
I'll go through the book, and if something happened... If we get to a part that someone wants to talk about, they can talk about it.
Okay.
Well, I was going to say, before we start on that real quick, it was really interesting to me how I didn't realize this book doesn't really have a plot. it's just a bunch of short things that happen, and they're vaguely connected, but not really.
Yeah.
I said before we started recording that this really obviously meant to be serialized. This reads like something that he spent a few months putting together, fired it off, and then found out a couple years later that this was going to be the rest of his life. And I understand that, because every endeavor I've put more than a couple months into that actually stuck around for any amount of time is something that I surely never thought that I'd mess around with more than once.
What's interesting is that when this book originally came out in 1983, it only there were only 506 copies printed. I'm looking on the Bookseller World website. The first edition is genuinely rare, and the jacket is unpriced but at a publisher sticker for £7.95. It's apparently super duper hard to find. So I'm thinking it was maybe just like a little tiny, like a vanity press thing that was going to get passed around at conventions or something. And then once it got really popular, then it was like, oh shit, this is like a career. But it reminded me a lot of other kind of satirical fantasy works of the day. Like there was like Callahan's Crosstime Saloon, and like the works of Piers Anthony, which I would not recommend looking up. Piers Anthony's creepy.
Both of those I could talk to for.
Terry Pratchett's the best example of fantasy parody.
God, yes.
Other than maybe Diana Wynne Jones, who also does some really good, but is like writes stuff in a totally different vein. Like if you want something that's like this but by her, Dark Lord of Dirkholm is fantastic, and also has talking anthro-griffins who are adorable.
Finally.
I'm not entirely sure that Pratchett originally meant for this book to get the kind of following that it has. So
I absolutely don't think he did. I mean, the book, like, this is spoilers for the end of the book, but it ends with throwing the protagonist off the edge of the world. Like, I do not think, this is just me guessing, but I don't think that he, like, intended to write more in this setting.
Yeah, like, it definitely sure seems like he would have been perfectly happy, like, letting him fall forever.
Well,
yeah, or recycling Rincewind and Two-Flower on a completely different world.
That absolutely could have gone where it went.
Yeah, like he was going to do like a world-hopping thing. But Rincewind does not get in the spaceship. Like, the last thing he sees is Two-Flower in the spaceship just, like, leaving.
I mean, think about how most of these stories end. Like, I guess we're just jumping around here as what happens, but, like, Ankh-Morpork effectively burns down. I mean, we know for a fact that, you know, it's back. It gets rebuilt. It already said that. The temple collapses. How badly did they screw up the Wormburg?
I mean, they're fine afterwards, but...
Yeah, it's kind of implied that it's Hrun, the barbarian, like, I think it's implied he stayed there and married Liesa Wormbitter, who, by the way, is hot.
Yes.
Of course she's hot.
Like, I'm reading this character gets, like, more description than anyone else. She gets, like, a nice, juicy paragraph when, like, he barely describes Rincewind or Two-Flower or any of the other main characters, but this lady with her giant mane of red hair with flecks of gold and the fact that she's basically naked.
She definitely got the literary equivalent of, like, a muted trumpet going... Look,
the camera slowly pans up her body and we get the fantasy version of that, oh yeah! Which, like, don't get me wrong, like, she sounds hot.
I mean, yeah, I was here for that fact that all the Dragon Riders were totally naked all the time. Like, the first one shows up, it's a dude, and it's like, yeah, he's wearing basically nothing. And I'm like...
He's wearing a loincloth and shoes.
Fuck, yeah, I'm here for this. I'm just gonna ruin it right now. Though, Wormburg was my favorite story of all these.
Fair.
Yeah,
it was cool.
Especially since, like, look, most of the time, as soon as, like, we learned that you make the dragons by imagining, I was thinking the phrase imagine dragons.
Imagine dragons!
And also, there's one of my favorite fucking lines in the whole book when, like, it says something like, Two-Flower was trying to think, but... Or it was like, Two-Flower couldn't think because his mind was awash with dragons. And you know what? I found it difficult to relate to the character before then, but that's a mood, Two-Flower. I get it.
I was just thinking, like, wow, dragons. Imagine if I could imagine a dragon. Wouldn't it be cool to have a dragon? Dragons are cool.
But, yeah, it's like, but my point here is that they just basically wreck everywhere that they go. The environments are as disposable as the rest of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, it's, like, about halfway through, I was reading the Wikipedia page for this, and he was trying to write a fantasy Blazing Saddles, and he does that very well. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that maybe it would have been more of a novelty back in the 80s. Like, now with our modern brains, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a parody of fantasy tropes. Like, those are a dime a dozen now. Matt Groening is doing those on Netflix, and they're kind of boring.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it's the Seinfeld problem again. Where so many people have bit off so much of this over the years that it just kind of feels stale.
Yeah, it's also the tone that, like, every Dungeons & Dragons game I've ever played has had, you know?
Oh, God, yeah.
It's a lot of fun, but it would have been more novel back in the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
But, and again, Pratchett goes off on wildly different directions after this, and unfortunately not enough people bite off the later stuff, but again, that's story for 30 episodes from now.
Yeah.
I will say one other thought on this, on the thought of like the environments being destructible. One sense I got from reading this is there's a thing that I sometimes find. I've read a lot of bad webcomics, and this is something you find there too, where authors throw a lot of random world building in at the beginning as a joke, and then later have to grapple with the fact that they put in really weird random world building.
Yeah.
And I definitely felt that at times here, where it was just like, hey, here's a fucking... Yeah, sure, we'll make, we'll add dragons and you can imagine them, and here's a city and here's a thing that it has, and not really considering like, okay, this is a world I'm building, but rather just here's a playground that we're going to mess around in for a bit.
Yeah, I'm going to spend...
Yeah. You don't need to know the specifics because you've read fantasy novels, so you can pretty much fill in the blanks.
Yeah, and I'm never going to return to this world. I'm never going to come back.
You can call this guy Hrun the Barbarian, and like you already have it. Like, he's a big muscular guy in a loincloth and a sword.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and also this idea of like, I'm probably never going to write much more in this world, so if I make stuff up that doesn't make sense, that's fine. I don't have to come back to it later.
Yeah. I will say that I did like that in the Sending of Eight, when they introduce Hrun, I made a note about it. One sec. But yeah, I really liked how Hrun the Barbarians, when he's kind of like really introduced heavily, the narrative tone actually starts talking about, like, describing his look in the same sense as Robert E. Howard's original Conan books. Like, it entirely switches a voice into, like, a different writing form. Yeah, here we go. Observe Hrun as he leaps cat-footed across a suspicious tunnel mouth. Even in this violet light, his skin gleams coppery. There is much gold about his person, in the form of anklets and wristlets, but otherwise he is naked except for a leopard skin loincloth. He took that in the steaming forests of Hawondaland after killing its owner with his teeth. And it's like, you can hear it in like the little voice from the Conan movies that, Mako, but like, that was like how the Conan books were written, and it's great that like Pratchett slips into that a little bit to be like, hey, get it? He's Conan, get it?
So are half the people in this film, in this book, naked?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
As soon as they leave Ankh-Morpork, it seems most of these folks are just naked or mostly so.
Because, like, even I can give a pass to, like, if you're a water troll, if you're made of water, yeah, sure, like, you can't really wear clothes. But a lot of these are just, like, regular-ass humans who are just, like, walk around in a loincloth all the time.
Well, you know, you see Frazetta paintings, and it's always super-duper scantily clad fantasy people, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Since we went from Conan to Dragon Riders of Pern, then I guess that's just kind of part of the territory, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I did like also that Conan's sword, Jesus Christ, I'm going to make that mistake all the time now. Hrun's sword, Kring, is actually not a reference to anything in Conan. It's a reference to the Cursed Blackblade of Elric from Michael Moorcock's Elric books, which also talked to him and thirsted for, I believe, the souls of his foes? I want to say souls. Maybe blood.
That sounds right.
Well, it wanted to kill people.
Yeah, you know, it's...
Yeah, souls, blood. Yeah, same difference.
Yeah,
you got yourself a hungry sword. There's only one way to feed it.
You gotta put the tip in stuff.
Yeah.
Give people a poke.
It's one of the things I noticed with this is, and I don't know if this continues with the later books, but Pratchett, at least in this one, really like wants to do physical comedy, which is a weird angle to go for when you're writing a novel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually something I noticed a lot when we start with. As soon as the book starts, I mean, he writes it like he's directing a movie.
Yeah, and sometimes it honestly works pretty well, like better than you'd expect. Like, the scene where okay, so there's the bar fight in the tavern. Some guy is like going into Two Flowers' hotel room. Rincewind like, hey, stop, and he like pretends to cast a spell. Nothing happens, of course, because Rincewind's a shitty wizard. And as soon as the guy realizes it, Rincewind punches him in the dick. Like, that's genuinely funny.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good,
I think as time went on, Pratchett definitely honed his ability from just doing here's vague physical comedy to here is, like, how to do, like, setup, punchline, unexpected results, etc. in a book form and not just have it be I'm directing a movie and such.
Yeah, like, he does it well, but it's also... he also, like, misses the mark a few times because it's difficult to do this in a novel. Like, it's like he's describing... a lot of times he's, like, describing, like, this happens like it would in a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it works, and sometimes it's like, buddy, I can't see this. You know that, right? This is a book.
I mean, there's a little bit of, like June mentioned, he will get more into wordplay. There was a remark when Rincewind is riding the dragon for the first time, and he mentions that Rincewind has always had these nightmares about falling and being thrown up in the sky with no control over himself, and these weren't really dreams so much as memories thrust backwards in time that sent echoes of fear throughout his entire life. And then the next line, this wasn't that event, but it was a good practice for it. That was beautiful.
That's some Pratchett shit right there.
Yeah, that sort of thing, Pratchett is going to get much better at that as the books go on. He gets much, much better at wordplay and relies a lot less on physicality.
Yeah. He gets less goofy but more witty.
Yeah, there's some genuinely good turns of phrase in this. There's a few hours and 100 years ago. There's a mention, I forget the context for it, but it was, who knows why he did this? It could have been this or that, and a lingering taste for heterosexuality.
Oh yeah, the implication that wizards are gay.
Yeah, which, I mean, they are, but probably not in the way that a 1980s parody fantasy author meant.
No,
I don't know.
He's still 20 years away from Monsters Regiment. He'll get there in time.
There's hey, it's forbidden to fight on the killing ground. Which, old
basically
joke,
a riff on, like, no fighting in the war room.
Yeah, it's a very Dr. Strangelove thing, but it's very funny. And
classic.
A lot of this early stuff is very referential, like to the point that not only is he just writing physical comedy, but he's fucking quoting it. There's an Abbott and Costello routine.
I think that tied for my personal least favorite joke in the book with the one on in my copy, page 58. That was the prolonged thing where Rincewind was talking to the camera imp about how lightning works, where it's like, oh, in this world, lightning is caused by thunder giants, haha. But, like, the joke goes on for, like a page and a half, basically. And it's like,
they just
all right.
It's this whole thing
get
where
it.
It's like, hey, wouldn't it be neat if we had electricity? I'm not going to say that, but wouldn't it be neat if we had that? Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about.
I still want to scream at every fucking economics joke.
Oh my god. Ooh. Okay, but, like, in the 80s, in fantasy comedy, that shit was, like, the peak. Don't ever read Callahan's Cross Time Saloon, because it's all fucking bad puns.
I could go on for a very long time about both Callahan's Cross Time Saloon and Piers Anthony. My parents
made me think about Piers Anthony again! No!
My parents read me the first 30 or so Xanth books as bedtime stories.
What the fuck is up with that? Psychic damage inflicted.
Oh god, my parents have famously bad taste. Discworld was one of the first really long series that I read that was not one of their ideas. Like, I read this, I read like the Split Infinity series, way too much Heinlein. Oh my god, too much Heinlein. This whole part probably gets cut out of the final draft, but I had a very weird, stupid upbringing with science fiction and fantasy.
For once, I feel very, very blessed that
Unless you're science fiction and fantasy authors, you're on notice. I know you're listening to this podcast, even the ones who are dead.
Okay. I discovered Callahan's Cross Time Saloon at about the same time that I discovered Discworld. I adore the series for the lessons that it taught me. I do not like I would never really recommend the books to anybody who's not in high school in the process of developing their sense of morality. They're good for that. They're not good for anything else.
They are a book of a time and a place, and that's it.
Honestly, in a lot of ways, that's what Discworld was for me, and I am very thankful that I can come back to Discworld much later and be like, no, you should totally read this. You should totally go back and read the later books. They're so good.
Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Yeah, someone had told me that as a kid. I might have, stuck with it.
Well, now we're going to force you to.
You're going to get all of the cool insider lore from the beginning.
Gladly. I appreciate that. Oh, there is one more line I wanted to highlight, and this is one I distinctly remember from childhood. And it's the thing about, the sort of person who wears wet copper armor, stands on a hilltop, and shouts, "All gods are bastards."
That is an excellent line. They kind of do a weird half echo of it when they're doing another weird language translation joke where Rincewind is trying to figure out an insult in Trob.
Oh yeah,
which only kind of works, but I guess that's in its favor because it's a joke about bad translation.
A quick question: do they just throw out the language jokes after the first?
Mm-hmm. The language jokes in this are kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can tell this was serialized because they completely forget that Two Flower doesn't speak whatever language they speak in Discworld after the first chapter.
You're right. People, after a while, people kind of ignore him anyways, because that's, the whole joke, is that for some reason people are ignoring him despite the fact that they forget that he's wearing this bright
Hawaiian shirt,
eye-searing shirt. They forget the fact that he's speaking Agadian. They remember the luggage, because the luggage won't stop showing up every 3 sentences.
Yeah, the luggage will bore you. But, in the first chapter, there's a whole thing about how Rincewind has to translate between Two Flower and everyone. But in chapter 3, Two Flower and Haroon just kind of have a conversation while Rincewind isn't there.
Two Flower only speaks a foreign language when it is convenient and funny to the plot for him to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that's a good segue into something that I thought was very 1983 about this book. There's a not insignificant amount of jokes that are pivoting around oh man, Two Flower's a tourist, stranger in a strange land. But also he's definitely meant to evoke this you saw it a lot of 80s movies and TV shows, this classic archetype of a Japanese tourist with a camera who takes photos of everything.
Yep.
And it's a product of Japan's economic miracle and the West's insecurity at the idea that there's a significant Asian power that's catching up with them, both economically and societally, and there's this weird sort of anxiety about that.
This weird, tiny, wealthy foreign nation with advanced technology we've never seen.
Yeah, exactly. And it's it's a very it doesn't land anymore just because that. I don't know if it's technically racist. It's definitely a stereotype that sucks.
It is definitely something rooted in racism, because that's that is where it came from. Even though Two Flower is he's also simultaneously evoking a lot of American stereotypes of American tourists.
Yeah.
The way that he's dressed, and the habit of reading things out very slowly and loudly, as if that somehow makes it easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's even a joke about how when they're in Krull, it's something Rincewind puts his hand over Two Flower's mouth because, quote, he knew the little man was about to practice his own strange brand of linguistics, which consisted of speaking his own tongue very loudly and slowly.
Yeah. I'd love for them to not refer to the character who's clearly Asian coded as, quote, a little man, unquote. That sucks. That sucks ass.
Yeah, because I didn't put this together till y'all noticed it, but they do sure call him a strange little man, and even the naming conventions is a little
One thing I personally think Pratchett struggled, I just want to say, I think that sometimes Pratchett books have an attitude of, because I'm making fun of, at first it's making fun of everything, and later it's making fun of specifically white and English people, I can kind of do whatever I want with this, and it just it doesn't. You still got to think about this stuff.
The old South Park problem.
He hasn't quite internalized that if you make fun of everyone, you are by definition punching down.
Yeah.
And even later when he's specifically making fun of eventually we're going to have to read Jingo.
Oh dear.
Oh, I am going to... There's the episode on Jingo. It's going to be one for the books, because that might be my least favorite Discworld novel.
He had good intentions. And
He sure did. He sure did. God bless his little heart. Oh, man. Oh, and while we're talking about racism out of the way, I also think it's bullshit on, it was in page 20 of my copy, that there is a place in the Discworld referred to as the Brown Islands, and the people there are referred to as just savages. They don't understand about spies, and I expect they eat merchants.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird talk about savage native tribes that's really pretty gross.
Yeah. It's...
Because there's no reason for it to be there other than to have a weird joke about it.
Yeah, we need a joke about this notion of savages, which what's up, English white writer? How's it going?
You wanna colonize anyone and make them grow tea, Terry?
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to rip off the racist Band-Aid all in one go while we were on the subject.
Also, the crawler, described as having dark skin, and they definitely want to human sacrifice Two Flower and Rincewind.
Yeah, that feels like that, he wrote that, and then he gave it to somebody to read, and then they were like, you can't, Terry, you can't just do this. And he's like, oh, shit. And then he was like, well, okay, but, they're magic, so they're not they're not black people in the real world. They're actually black, super black, ink black.
Yeah, they're pitch black. They're as black as you can get. They're specifically not the color black people are, which is...
Terry.
That's weirdly specific, Terry. Were you, how hasty was that revision, Terry? What's up with that?
There's specifically a line that says, no, it's not like the other person I mentioned earlier that's black. They're darker. Thanks.
I want to say that he gets better about this, but I don't actually... It's been so long since I've read these that I don't know if there's a bunch of shit that I've just completely forgotten.
He gets different. I will say that he gets, on the whole, better. I'm not going to say that, racism disappears from his books, because he's still a...
Oh, no, it is still something that comes up frequently, because I'm remembering lines saying... he says it in an offhand part during one of the Watch books that black and white have put aside their differences to go beat up on green, because he starts using actual races to do most of his racial metaphors.
Which has its own problems.
It's got its advantages, it's got its own problems. But again, that's the stuff, thankfully, we're not going to have to worry about for another few months.
Mm-hmm.
Also...
These are good books, though, I promise!
Also, I'll say, I think he definitely gets better about some things than he does about others.
He gets more conscious about them, I guess?
I could talk about Pratchett and gender for a very long time.
I hope you will.
Pratchett and races.
Well, first we have to get to a point of the book where we have to get to a book where there's more than 2 female characters in the entire thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this one doesn't pass the Bechdel test.
I think Equal Rights is coming up at number 4, so hopefully soon.
That's number 3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, number 3.
Yeah, I can never remember if Mort or Equal Rights comes first.
No, I think Mort is number 4, Equal Rights is number 3. Well, Equal Rights is for number, that's when they start getting okay. So, but yeah, changing the subject.
Can we talk about how fucking British this is?
It's pretty fucking British.
I have 2 or 3 notes, one of the third thing I ever wrote down for it, this is very British. It's hard to tell what's fantasy and what's just British.
Yeah.
He says the phrase, oh, they're a second storyman. And, I don't know what that is. I suspect they have them in England. And, the demon that, the subordinate death who is very nearly kills Rincewind at the end before he lawyers his way out of it is Scropula?
Yeah, I don't know what Scropula is.
Which is which is a disease so British it was formerly called King's Evil.
That's incredible.
There was another thing where I'm reading this on my Kindle, and I selected the word, and I forget what it was, but it said the word rota, R-O-T-A, and I forget what the definition was, but the dictionary called it, quote, before it even said the definition, mostly Brits.
Yeah, no, rota's like a shift, but it is definitely a British word for sure.
Yeah, like a rotation, or like there's a more common word that it shares a root with, but yeah. A roster. It's like a roster.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty fucking British.
Yeah.
Also, I definitely want to talk about how death is characterized in this book.
Oh yeah, Death's an asshole.
The parts were really,
yeah.
The parts with death and the parts with the gods were really good.
Yes. When I hit the part where the gods and the lady first entered, I think I actually made a note in the book saying, like, this is a character that Grace is going to find attractive.
Correct.
Okay. As an aside, I appreciate the fact that fate, luck, and chance are all three separate deities in this cosmology.
Yeah.
Yes.
And fate fucking hates luck.
God, it's very good.
It's such a good touch. I like that. Yeah.
No,
sorry.
You can go ahead.
All right. I like that the pantheon is not necessarily like, it's kind of and we'll see it more in later books, but it's like Pratchett, I believe in real life, was a devout atheist. And it's interesting how he approaches religion in these books, because like with it, it's like gods are definitely real.
Yeah.
All of them exist for real.
They go around breaking, if you're an atheist, they will come around and break your windows.
Yeah. They're powered by belief, and they're kind of in the mix with other forces which are like gods, but are more like anthropomorphic representations of concepts.
Yeah. Like, death is not a god, but he is, like, in the same sphere.
Yeah. It's something that, like, you would see later on with, like, you know, like Sandman and in a lot of other media. The book Small Gods is all about this, and that is one of my personal favorites and was a big influence on me when I wrote my book Epiphany.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited to get to that, but I think it's great in this book to see early death and him being like a weird prick.
Yeah, this is something that'll come up much more later, but what makes the gods different here is that the gods are actually the result of religion, not the other way around.
Yeah.
The gods they sort of kind of, they get credit for creating the world, but they didn't. It's just that everybody believes that they did, so they sort of retroactively become responsible for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fate is specifically like, no, he's a god from like some other timeline or something that wound up here. Which is, like, very good. Like, I love this sort of small god shit in general. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of fun
Well,
here.
if you really like small gods, I have great news about an upcoming book that's called Small Gods.
Oh.
It's gonna be awesome!
I mean, yeah, I'll be honest, June. I thought that was gonna be like, you leaning into the goddess shit.
No. The book is literally called
I mean, you're
Small
a big
Gods.
goddess.
I don't
You're
know if
very
you've
tall,
heard,
but,
yeah,
like,
June is a tall goddess.
yeah, she's very
Thank
big.
you.
Yeah, we're like halfway in kayfabe here because none of us have any idea who we're presenting as for these streams. We haven't figured that part out yet. We'll figure that out by episode 3. Don't worry.
I mean,
just like
you can be as furry as you want, or as
Is it too
kayfabe
late
as
to
you
start doing a voice?
want. It's never too late to
Grace,
start
if
doing
you do
a
a voice for
voice.
the entire podcast, I will be very sad. Genuinely sad.
Wait, if I do or if I don't?
it'll make it easier to tell us apart, I guess.
But yeah, Death is like very much more of a. He's kind of like in later books he chills out quite a bit, and he's like a much more like calm constant in the universe, and he ushers people into the great beyond. But in this book, he really reminded me more of like Inspector Zenigata from Lupin.
Yes.
More than
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Or he's
No,
always
it's
like
even right down to the way he constantly gets eluded by Rincewind. Though comparing Rincewind to Lupin the Third feels like kind of an insult to Lupin. Mm-hmm. Like, I like Lupin. Maybe that's because I like criminals.
oh, absolutely
like-
same, and he's very charming.
Also, Rincewind and Death do not have the kind of sexual tension that Lupin and Zenigata do.
Yes.
Oh,
The crime boy and the cop are definitely gay for each other.
There's a thing going on there.
This isn't really a spoiler or anything, but like there are more Rincewind books. There are some books specifically about Death. I forget, does Death continue to keep showing up every time Rincewind is in a near-death situation, or does that stop after these?
I think it might, like, in later Rincewind books, I think it happens, like, maybe, like, once a book, but I don't think it happens nearly as often.
Okay. I know that it shows up, like, in the games, it shows up, it's a constant running joke every single time Rincewind is in danger, because it's one of those adventure games where you can't actually die, it's just Death shows up and it basically tells you, no, go do something else, this is not the solution to the puzzle.
That's great.
I'm excited for our spin-off podcast, where we review and rank every single episode of Lupin the Third. It's going to be a good time.
I would take the hell out of that podcast.
We'd need to do them in chunks, but
that would take even longer than this.
Yeah, we'll all reconvene in 2030 when another pandemic happens.
Coronavirus.
The year is 2030. The only thing we have left to do is podcast, and podcast we will.
You start a Lupin podcast, I'll start a fucking, One Piece podcast, and we'll see who finishes first.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, I can at least talk about Lupin for that long.
Yeah, not even just on a podcast, just sitting there and just talking constantly.
I love this crime boy so much.
Okay,
He's
wait.
a good
crime
boy.
Before we move on, is it pronounced Lupin?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, that's how they. I've heard it's in every dub I've ever heard.
Okay.
It's also in the theme song, so.
I have seen barely any of it. You'll have to show me the crime boy someday, Grace.
June, one of these days I will sit down with you and I will show you, like, at least one episode of Lupin. I have a favorite.
Grace, I'm always down for you to
Is it
show me
Rio de
some
Janeiro?
crimes.
No, it's an episode of the newer series,
okay.
Lupin the Third Part 4, where Zenigata catches Lupin, puts him in an inescapable prison, and there's some genuinely heartfelt moments, and also just this amazing fucking ending.
Okay.
It's the most Lupin the Third shit I've ever seen.
Okay, we really do have to stop this from becoming the Lupin podcast, though.
Sorry.
We can call it Loop Podcast the Third. Thank you.
Oh my god.
God damn it.
Save that for the other podcast we're going to do where every episode is a different episode of something.
Oh, right. Shit. I forgot about that one entirely.
Okay.
That's a good bit.
Back to
I
the
keep thinking
actual
about
topic.
that. Anyways.
This one.
Yes.
What did y'all think of Rincewind as like a character?
I think he's the guy who sucks.
That's like his
Also,
his
he's
point.
got
is he
depression.
Look,
Roast
I don't know.
beef.
I find roast beef Achewood a lot more relatable than I ever found Rincewind. You know, Rincewind is your like typical comedy protagonist. He's a guy. He's kind of shitty. He's nice enough, but he's also kind of a dick when it would be funny. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I find him.
I mean,
he's fine.
He's a craven coward, and that's like his main defining feature, is that he's good at staying alive and literally nothing else.
I honestly appreciate him. I know. I thought I enjoyed his presence, even if he sucks shit. This might just be my enjoyment of characters who absolutely suck ass, but I really enjoyed him just walking into a scenario and being like, I'm gonna run away from this scenario. That's good.
Don't get me wrong. I almost said Lupin. Rincewind is a shitty guy who sucks. Yeah. And sometimes that's endearing. Like, sometimes I too feel like a wizard who only knows one spell and I can't even say it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, this is the weird episodic nature happening here. He stops trying to ditch Two-Flower after they leave Ankh-Morpork, even though he has no obligation to do this anymore. Yeah. He just hangs around trying to keep them all alive for no real reason.
I mean, like, where else is he gonna go? Like, I mean, look, if I were Ankh-Morpork is on fire, and as far as Rincewind still knows, as far as Rincewind knows, he will be killed if he fails to protect Two-Flower.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that whole plot thread gets dropped after the first chapter because, again, serial stuff. But
little sidebar: isn't it interesting that the patrician in this book isn't Vetinari?
Yeah. It's like he's like some weird sultan asshole.
He's other guy. Yeah.
he has a lot of the same sort of things. Like, he still has the utterly vast information network. He is very good at his job, but yeah, he's some weird fat guy with a bunch of rings and a weakness for candied seafood.
Yeah.
I also thought it was weird and racist that he had turbans on his elbows.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
What is that, Terry? I'm sure it's racist, but it's also just inscrutable.
Racist for a racial profile that does not exist.
Other than the fact that this plot thread gets dropped, because but as far as Rincewind knows, he will be killed if he lets harm come to Two-Flower. Look, if I were in Rincewind's shoes, being with Two-Flower is not a terrible place to be. He's got deep pockets. He, at the very least, you can afford a place to stay and eat.
Mm-hmm. No, it makes sense.
It's very much what the fuck else am I going to do? Because that's what happens in a long-running series of just episodic adventures.
Yeah. You eventually stop worrying about why are these characters sticking together, and you just keep them stuck together. It uses the old principle of... a principle in... Oh god, I learned this on TV tropes. I'm a terrible person. But the principle of whatever characters were doing when we last saw them, that's what they will be doing when we see them next. End of story. If two characters were together when you saw them last, next time you see them, you expect them to be together, even if it's 10 years in the future.
Yeah, if this had been a serial, it probably would have been just about the, every month you get a new Rincewind and Two-Flower adventure, and sometimes they're accompanied by Hrun or whoever. Like a
Xena or like a Hercules.
Yeah, it's just weird reading in a novel format because the Wikipedia page said this is one of the few Discworld books with chapters.
Yep.
Most of them don't have that.
I mean, they have breaks. They just have a row of stars, and then we change the scene.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of also sort of is a later example of Pratchett kind of thinking more in movie format than...
Yeah, you could probably make 26-minute episodes out of most of these.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and... which, again, works in the fact that he describes things very visually, and there are a lot of kind of disorienting cuts. He will have one of those breaks and go from one scene to another that's at a different place in a different point in time, and it's disorienting. It's one of the reasons I fell off it as a kid. And again, these would be very clear transitions if you were directing a film.
Mm-hmm.
But they can be a little disorienting in a book where it's okay, wait, no, where are we now? Who is this? Where is this in time?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one scene when Two-Flower is sleeping in the broken drum, and we just suddenly cut across 3 different things happening simultaneously. A message is coming in, and Rincewind is arguing with the Luggage, and the patrician has a conversation with one of his diplomats, and all this stuff happening simultaneously. And then, oh right, where the fuck were we?
Yeah, it's very confusing. Although I did enjoy the throwing around bags of gold as grenades. That was a good bit. That was a good
Yes,
show.
that was fun.
Once I figured out what was going on, it was very good.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff here that I could go on a lot about the fact that Ankh-Morpork is just so vastly different from how it is later in the series. I mean, it's already starting off as some kind of weird London pastiche, but a lot of things just haven't been developed yet. There is a guild of assassins, but not a guild of thieves yet. The guild of merchants becomes a thing specifically because of all the money Two-Flower is suddenly putting into the economy.
Yeah.
The river Ankh is liquid, which you will never see it flow that easily ever again.
Yeah, that's a big point in later books that it's chunky style river basically.
Yeah,
you could eat that river with a fork.
I don't know why you would. You'd die, but you could.
Because I assume because it's supposed to be like the Thames, and it's especially in medieval London, it was fucking filthy because people they would dump sewage into it.
This is an exaggeration. If you drop somebody into the river Ankh, they don't float; they just kind of sit there and will sink over the course of several hours.
It's interesting once he eventually gets to that point where these things become long-running gags that become parts of the universe, and I really enjoy it, and none of them are here.
Yeah.
if I can bounce real quick back over to some little thing that the mud does, if you cross the Thieves Guild in the mud, the first time they give you a warning, the second time they throw you into the River Ankh and it breaks both of your legs.
Oh my god!
It's a good bit.
It's a very
really
good bit.
That's really good.
I'm really enjoying this experience of just constantly like making jokes about things that Grace has no idea what they are.
They sound like good bits. I'm excited to to read them in the books.
Trust us, these punchlines are so good that when you read the lead-ups to them, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, so fresh.
Like I said, I experienced the books going, oh, I remember this from this video game I played.
We're just doing that to Grace, but with a podcast.
Here's something that does come up in this book that doesn't come up in later books. The patrician actually threatens Rincewind with throwing him into the arena, which is kind of implied as to be a blood sport, like a coliseum for criminals.
Like we'll feature the lions or whatever.
Yeah, which is wild because that literally never happens again. And another thing mentioned here that never happens again are the whore pits, which there's a seamstresses guild later on in the book.
Yes,
which is the sex workers and stuff.
That's sort of the thing, is like the whores unionize.
Yeah, it's awesome actually. But they don't just call it the whore pits. That's a weird, very gore, as in GOR, gore element of an otherwise book that is not trying to do that. I don't know. It felt really off.
And
again,
you know it's non-canon because eventually there is a book with time travel, and they go back in time, and none of this stuff is there.
Oh yeah, no. The Vetinari's been the patrician for like decades. But when the third book takes place, so whoever this guy is, he's just like the sort of interim intern commissioner.
He's the vice patrician. The real guy was sick that day.
Lord Parker the 14th.
Vetinari's powerful enough to pull some fucking retcon shenanigans.
He kind of is.
Yeah, of course I've been in charge for decades. Like, you want to fucking say I haven't?
Yeah, you'll meet Vetinari, you'll love Vetinari, I promise.
The last guy was so bad, we voted Vetinari in on his second term from Go.
We voted him in retroactively.
Yeah.
I will say, again, this is where the book's, clearly serial nature suffers, because, right off the bat, we get, really before we meet any of, our actual main characters, we get all this really cool world building about Emor and Withel, these, this, cool thief shit, and he's got all these rad birds.
Yeah, that was fun.
I hope they come back in later books, because, oh, fuck, I like Mr. Birdman better than I like, some of these other guys.
I think the Thieves Guild itself factors into a lot of stuff, but I can't remember anything about its leadership. Even
they don't even mention a guild. It's, these two guys.
Yeah,
and also a couple of, beggars that they have.
The Ankh-Morpork becomes a city of guilds, when the real series starts.
Oh, I love... Fuck. I'm trying to make a magic reference, and my mind completely went...
Ravnica? Okay.
There we go. Oh, I love Ravnica. That was it.
Yeah, no, it's... Every single thing has some kind of guild/union behind it. And it's kind of played as a joke, but at the same time, it also makes the city work. And again, that stuff I'm really looking forward to. I think that really starts to come up in Guards, and I can already say that most of us are going to be really excited to talk about Guards, because that's one of the points at which the series really, really, really finds its footing.
We finally get to start getting into leftist theory there.
I am so excited to talk about Pratchett and leftist theory because, he had some ideas, and he could not give up on some other ideas, and what a fascinating figure.
I have seen the outlines of this idea. I mentioned to a friend I was reading through the series, and he said, isn't it weird how they knighted him despite his, very obvious anti-monarch sentiments?
Anybody who makes enough money for the crown gets knighted.
Just give him a little gold star and hope he doesn't come back to behead us.
I mean, I get it. If they wanted to knight me, I would take it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They wouldn't, for a lot of reasons, but, it's nice to think funny. About. Yeah. I'm not even English. I've never even been there. But also, it'd be hilarious.
I'll knight you, Grace.
Thank you. Also, I think Sir Lovelace would sound pretty rad.
That would be cool.
So we're an hour in and we have not recapped the book, so we're probably not doing that.
Well, yeah, probably not. We kind of, like, there really isn't a lot of a plot to this book, more or less. We did kind of recap it where we talked about, like, everything that happens, so I think it's probably okay. Like, first chapter, bar fight in the city. Second chapter,
we didn't actually talk about the second chapter, like, at all.
What?
We didn't actually talk about what happens in the second chapter with the temple and that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's a reason Rincewind... There's a reason Pratchett himself said that this book is, like, 15 minutes of plot, all told.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the second one is kind of about, like, there's this temple that has, like, some Lovecraft stuff going on in it, and they end up heading there for some...
my god, the dryad! The fucking...
Yes, the tree!
Yeah.
What was that?
So forgettable. They don't show...
Oh yeah, all the dryads were naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool.
And again, the dryads never fucking show up ever again.
I was so confused. I was like, wow, this sure is a big thing. I have never heard of this.
It implied that, like, inside of every tree is a dryad, and inside of every tree is also, like, a branching network of hyper trees. Like, all trees only exist... They exist in more than 3 dimensions, which is a fucking bananas thing to have in your book and never mention again!
Yeah, it's like... Oh, yeah, like, the dryads are all fucking snooty about, like... Oh, well, what you call a tree is really just a protrusion of our 4th dimensional super quantum tree bullshit. It's... I thought this when I was reading, and it's like... You know how when you're playing a Hideo Kojima game, and you can tell he was, like, reading about something at the time, because a character will be like, oh, those are Alaskan field mice, Snake. They always know how to blah, 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 whatever. It's like that. And I mean this in the best possible way. Like, he genuinely works into the story pretty well. But there is a little bit of that.
Yeah, this will never come up ever again. The best guess I could give you is that these dryads were attached to this one forest, and then that forest undergoes, like, 20,000 years of rapid time catching up or whatever, and they just fucking die out because everyone forgets about them.
Yeah, like they just aged thousands of years at once. It makes sense.
I mean, simultaneously, the Wormburg will never come up again either, but imaginary dragons will.
I think part of the difficulty with this is those of us who've read all of Pratchett, we see these things and we're like, okay, when is this going to come up later? Because one thing that happens in later Pratchett books is every single thing becomes important. Every little detail later becomes a story beat. Every, like, oh, we introduced this random character for this thing. Oh, that's going to be an important character later. Nothing gets left behind in that way. It forms a really interestingly cohesive universe. And that's just not here at all. So it makes it weird to analyze from a Pratchett fan perspective.
All right, y'all want me to, like, run down the story of the book real quick?
Sure.
Like, based on my notes here, so I might miss some stuff. So, we start off in Ankh-Morpork. Two Flower the tourist shows up. Rincewind is the only one who can communicate with him. He becomes a translator for him. Two Flower is a tourist. He doesn't... Oh, I want to come see this land of heroes, and so he takes pictures of everything. Blah, blah, blah. Rincewind is at first kind of a piece of shit. He's just like, oh, this guy is rich. He has these giant golden coins. He wants to, like...
The Rhinu.
Yeah, which, again, also kind of falls off. But Rincewind gets pulled into the patrician's office. Office isn't the right word, but, like, you know, and he gets told, basically, if something bad happens to this little guy, it's going to be very bad for us, and so we will kill you. Mm-hmm. There's some stuff beforehand with, like, two guys, Hrone and the Weasel, are, like, watching Ankh-Morpork Born as a bit of foreshadowing, and they're talking about it betting on. That's a pretty good bit. And then this next part is, like, how that happens. We blah blah blah. They have some adventures. We learn that Two Flower is basically he's an
insurance adjuster. I can't remember.
Yeah, there you go. He's an actuary, basically. Mm-hmm. He works for an insurance company. And he works for an insurance company. He sells the guy who owns the Broken Drum, the tavern they're staying at, an insurance policy. They call it insurance because, yeah.
It's funny. It's a great joke.
They don't know the word. It's funny.
I do like that he pays for the insurance with the money that he got earlier in, because there's no other way he would have anywhere near enough to pay for the premium.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and Two Flower comes from, quote, the counterweight continent, which is very wealthy. They use these giant fucking solid gold coins for money. Like, whenever Two Flower tries to pay for something, he always wildly overpays because, these giant solid gold coins are like $1 to them.
How much could a banana cost? $10?
10 solid gold coins. Long story short, the entirety of Ankh-Morpork catches fire because the guy who owns the broken drum burns it down for the insurance money, and Two Flower and Rincewind escape as they are... Does the thing with the temple happen next? I feel like something happens between then.
Because after they leave the city and they relay the story of what the first chapter was, and the guys just do not believe a single word of it for no apparent reason. Despite the fact that they've got all this evidence in front of them, and they're about to go down to try to see what they can loot out of the burning city.
A bunch of the stuff in this book happens because, some magic bullshit went down. That just happens sometimes. Or, in this case, it's a lot of, part of the framing device is, the gods are literally playing dice and gambling on these people's lives. And so they interfere and they're hey, check this shit out. I'm gonna really fuck with him with this. I'll get him.
A troll appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, I love this god shit.
That was good. That was really good stuff. The god stuff was very entertaining.
Yeah. Iris, you were correct. Lady Luck is absolutely my type. Yes. I'm not shy about this. I'm gay.
Same, fair.
We are all gay.
Yeah. So, at the start of the second chapter, Rincewind, Two Flower, and Hrun the Barbarian, who was mentioned earlier and is here now for some reason?
Well, it's because there's a temple.
Here?
He's doing the hero thing.
Oh, right. They're not with him. Well, but they were adventuring with him before the temple.
No. They met in the temple. It's that Rincewind has dealt with Hrun several times in the past because just reasons.
Oh yeah,
he's apparently he's one of the nicest barbarians out there.
Yeah,
apparently.
Nicest, and one of he can string 2 words together at a time or whatever. Yeah, and it's later on where they have hired him and they're traveling together, and so they're going along. Rincewind and Two Flower are walking along. They're going to some city that they never get to. Some bullshit happens. Some magical god bullshit happens. Rincewind is spirited off into the woods. Two Flower finds a rock saying, "Hey, if you're a traveler and you need some help, go to the Temple of Bel-Shamaroth." Rincewind has a bunch of stuff where he gets kidnapped by dryads.
Okay, I liked the fact that Two Flower just has this string of extremely good luck as he just accidentally wakes up a bear, accidentally disturbs a pack of wolves, but his horse keeps going, and then the bear and the wolves both attack Rincewind.
Yeah,
that's the physical comedy. That's good, but it's handled awkwardly.
Yeah, sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses. Because Rincewind is in a pretty dire circumstance. He's dangling from the branch of a tree above a pack of wolves and also a bear that want to eat him. Death is there making fun of him, which is a pretty good bit. It's very funny to me that Death spends the entire book there's a really good scene when he's leaving Ankh-Morpork where not even when he's trying to rescue Two Flower, where Death is look, there's been a filing error. It says you're going to die in some other city 300 miles away. It would really help me if I could get you a horse, a very fast one.
Yeah, it's weird because it's in this book, Death has to answer to people, which is also a concept that doesn't happen later.
And again, Death having a whole bunch of underlings is not a thing that really happens. I mean, all of these other characters, he does. I think he plays cards with the other horsemen. I don't remember if this is just a side joke or if that ever actually means anything. I'm stuck thinking about the adventure games because it comes up in there when you try to cause time
it depends if you it depends if you consider if the death in the book Good Omens is the same death as the death in the Discworld books.
This is not going to be a 42 episode podcast.
We're not going there.
But anyway, that was a good bit. I'm getting sidetracked. But long story short, Rincewind is saved from certain death by getting swallowed up by into this 4th dimensional bigger on the inside dryad tree, where they tie him down and force him to look into the Temple of Bel-Shamroth, where, as y'all said, there is some Lovecraft shit happening, and both Two Flower and Hrun the Barbarian are not having a good time. They're going to get vored by this Elder God.
Oh yeah, Two Flower actually starts getting upset, and that's something he just couldn't do in the first chapter.
Yeah. And he's also like, for one thing, he's mad when he can't take pictures of things. Like, he's genuinely, like, upset that he doesn't get a picture of Bel-Shamroth or whatever. Or this.
He's there to see stuff and to bring back proof that he saw it. He's the ultimate tourist.
And then he just gets scared constantly inside the temple, which, okay, it's nice to know that he has a survival instinct somewhere. It would have helped if he'd gotten scared anywhere else along the lines, but I don't know why he's so afraid of this and not, a knife flying at his face.
Yeah, like, even when he's about to, like, be a human sacrifice, he's like, yeah, what are you gonna do? It happens. I'm sure we'll be fine. Also, is this what inspired the tourist class in NetHack?
Yes. Very, very explicitly. Two Flower is the quest giver in NetHack.
Oh, yeah.
And, yes, the
tourist, like, special artifact is the Platinum Yandorian Express card, which is, again, pretty much the same joke as having the sack of gold coins.
Which you can actually use to charge magical items. That's its whole deal, but only if you're a tourist. It's a series of Discworld jokes.
Yeah, you start off with a Hawaiian shirt and a camera.
Look, I don't remember much about NetHack except for desperately running around trying to find something that would turn me into a dragon. That's all I really did in NetHack.
I was not good at NetHack.
I've beaten it twice, and I actually have an active save on nethack.alt.org where I was in the middle of an Extinctionist run and got bored.
Dang.
You gotta be bored to go on an Extinctionist run anyways, but...
Anyways, they all wind up in this Temple of Bel-Shamroth. They almost get eaten by the Elder God that lives there, Bel-Shamroth himself, who... We learned that, like, wizards aren't supposed to say the number 8 because 8 is a number of some occult significance in the Discworld.
Do they keep that up in later books? I forget if they do.
Yes and no. Okay, stuff being based around 8 constantly. It isn't. I think that they dance around it a lot when we're dealing with Unseen University stuff, but it's no longer like the world will fucking end if you say 8. Which, again, this is a friggin' thing in the mud. If your character yells the number 8 a few times, you're forcibly logged out.
Which...
Oh, wow.
Well... Yeah, if you are, because it was specifically in this temple, right?
Yeah, it was, specifically in the temple, because this was a spot where, like, reality was super weak or whatever.
Yeah, like here, there is an elder god here who is, big into the number 8, because the number 8 is a big magical occult number in the Discworld. And you should especially not say it in the company of this guy. And I think they also say it should never ever be spoken aloud by a wizard, but I'm guessing they forget about that.
No, they don't forget about it. Like, number 8 has weird significances, but it's no longer, like, an instant kill button.
Yeah.
It's just, like, things like Octiron will come up a lot. Octarine will keep coming up a lot. I mean, again, things that are based around 8 will happen a lot. Like, Equal Rights is about, it's supposed to be, like, a magician is someone who is the 8th son of an 8th son, and then a sorcerer is the 8th son of an 8th son of an 8th son. And, look, we'll worry about that in 2 months. But number 8 is important in Discworld.
I think it's you can almost look at it as if later Discworld books were inspired by this one more than they were like sequels.
Yeah.
But anyway, they escape from the temple. They start adventuring with Hrun.
Oh, sorry, one more thing. I hate to interrupt you again, but I thought this was interesting because I had to look this up to see if this was really a reference to something, and it was. So they actually defeat the Elder God by Two Flower's flashbulb attachment for his camera going off in its face.
A bunch of salamanders.
Yeah, so the way it works is that the salamanders don't have mouths, and they eat. They survive on light, which they absorb from their surroundings, which they then discharge later in one bright flash, and that's basically like an excuse to have a magical equivalent of a flash cube. Mm-hmm. This is actually a reference to a thing that Da Vinci wrote based on old ideas of what salamanders were. They used to nest in rotting logs, and whenever you threw a rotting log on the fire back in like the medieval ages, they would come crawling out. So people thought that they lived and survived on fire, which was
that explains a lot, actually.
That's where that legend comes from.
That explains why salamanders give you fire powers in the Castlevania games.
Da Vinci on them wrote This has no digestive organs and gets no food but from the fire, in which it constantly renews its scaly skin. The salamander, which renews its scaly skin of the fire for virtue. I just thought that was neat, because I was reading that, I was like, that's a weird set of dots to connect. I wonder if that's like a reference to a real thing. And it was!
So, I didn't know this, and it's very funny to me. Everyone talks about Da Vinci like he was some forward-thinking super genius, which sure he was, but he also, like, had a lot of, like, he also, like everyone else who lived in the past, and like everyone who lives today, had a lot of bad, wrong ideas that don't make any sense.
Can't get them right all the time.
You know what? I didn't paint the Mona Lisa or whatever, but at least I know how salamanders work. So, who's really winning, huh? It's me. Also, I've got better tits than Da Vinci, so 2 points.
That's
Grace
true.
2, Da Vinci, zip. No, he did invent that diaper piano, so I'll give a point to him for that. Oh, and the double flute. So, it's a tie.
I forgot about the diaper piano.
But I did dab in front of the Mona Lisa that one time, so let's say Grace 3, Da Vinci 2.
Okay.
Tight.
Thank you all for...
Fuck yeah, poggers as hell.
So the salamanders saved the day because, of course, the whole environment was super magical rich, so they just got overcharged and they just blew up and did holy damage or whatever to Belshammar.
Yeah.
They
They
escape.
can't stand light.
Super bright flash in his eye.
They hire Hrun because they have some actual sense, and because Rincewind is good at staying alive, so he knows what will keep him alive. And they continue to bribe Hrun by playing to his ego by just taking a whole bunch of photos of him as they go.
Mm-hmm. And
Which, like, considering the photos are tiny paintings, I feel like what they're actually taking photos of him, they're actually just making tiny Frank Frazetta paintings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is 100% what they're doing.
Yeah,
great.
the way Two Flowers' magical camera works, for those of you at home, is there is like an imp inside who, whenever you press the button, he paints a picture on a little glass plate and slides it out the hole.
He's very fast.
Yes.
And he, they talk to him later. He becomes another character, which I thought was delightful.
Yeah, like Rincewind, like, just has little chit-chats with him in Ankh-Morpork and afterwards.
He's like an extra friend.
Yeah, especially, as someone Rincewind can talk to about stuff when Two Flowers isn't there.
After that, I know we're introduced to Wormberg, or I guess it would be Wernberg or something. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
It's a big upside-down mountain that's very magical and full of dragons. Imaginary dragons. Dragons you can imagine.
Yeah,
but
the dragons only work because you can imagine them.
You do have to believe in dragons in order to make them happen.
This book has a heavy focus on like how much magic there is in a place, and just weird magic in general happening. Magic being kind of a wild thing.
Wow, you make my heart sing.
It definitely has it's like radioactivity, where it's like just some areas are like drenched with it. It has rules that it works by, like laws of physics kind of rules.
They make this really explicit when they're talking about like the disposal of old grimoires.
Yeah.
They have to make lead pentagrams and put them in a little box, and they tried hiding them underground, but this ended up with weird mutants happening.
The magic seeps into the groundwater and causes problems. That's very good. Where like magic is this,
it's a pest.
Yeah, it is one of the things that's pretty good about this book, where it kind of nails the tone, is like magic isn't all that great. Like, Rincewind is very clear that like, look, even if I were a good wizard, it would be kind of a shitty bargain. You have to memorize a spell for months, and kind of a parody of, I guess, the way spells work in Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes. It's very much a Jack Vance school of magic, where you have to memorize the spell, you cast the spell, and the spell's gone.
Yeah.
So the same thing that Gygax was borrowing for the first few editions of D&D.
Yeah.
And as a result, it's worthless.
Yeah, if you want to have water wizards, you have to take a child and torture them so that they despise water. There's a very good line about how, no, they don't hate water. Hate is an attracting force, like love, which is very, very good, like supervillain Cape Kink phrase.
Mm-hmm.
They despise water. They're repulsed by it. In fact, they're physically repulsed by it. The whole idea is so you can have wizards that make like fast magic boats, basically.
Yeah, they're like big magnifying glasses for some reason. But they just have, like, all these, like, wizards who just fucking despise water sitting around the edges, just staring really hard at the ocean, and it just scoots along above the water, which is a great image.
Yeah. They hate water and there's a really good moment where, like, I think it's Rincewind, like, disables one by spinning on their hand, causing them to, like, scream and writhe on the ground, terrified of being damp.
Yes. Don't
they push another one into, like, a nearby pond, and he just, like, starts yelling, and all of the water, like, moves out from under him?
Yeah, there's a really good line about how, like, it is as if a big invisible balloon presses against the water.
Oh, that's great. That's some good shit.
Yeah, like, when the imagery works, it's really good. But sometimes it has the energy of someone describing a joke to you.
The Unseen University, I mean, we're going to deal with, there are entire Unseen University books, and there are B-plots and a lot of others, and magic is always just this absolute terrible, awful force in Discworld, and that's one of the things that makes it so great, is that wizards suck.
Yeah, Rincewind is very clear about, like, even if I were a good wizard, magic would fucking suck. Like, even if I didn't drop out of magic school, hoo boy.
Were any of you other folks disappointed that he never actually said his big dick one giant murder spell or whatever?
No, but only because I remember this will be very important in the second book.
In the Light Fantastic, which I hear picks up where Rincewind leaves off.
It is very disappointing, but I feel like in general it's a disappointingness that's kind of like, it's a shitty anticlimax of being like, haha, you thought you were going to get some sort of...
You thought you were going to find out what the thing did, huh?
You thought you were going to get some sort of resolution? Well, that would be if you were reading one of those other fantasy books, but us, we're funny.
Look, you know Chekhov's spell? Well, this guy still has it in his head.
Which, once again, something I'm very, very happy that later Discworld books just don't do, is the whole just like, haha, isn't it great how you don't get any resolution to anything and there's not really a conclusion or anything satisfying about this ending?
Yeah, it's a very Seinfeld, no hugging, no learning sort of situation.
Yeah.
I think also, like, later on, once Discworld got sufficiently popular, the book stopped being fantasy parodies and started just being Discworld books.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
They didn't have that as much of an urge to do that. But
yeah, again, I get it. It's like when you're trying to make a name for yourself, you do things that you do things different than if you're an established author. Like, I get that. Anyway, they're in Dragontown.
We are an hour and 25 minutes into this.
And we're not even done with
to discuss.
Yeah, we still have like the back half of the book to talk about.
Once we finish the synopsis, we can kind of we can start wrapping it up if you like.
Yeah, probably.
That's cool with that, yeah.
That's a good format. We talk about stuff at the first, and then we do the synopsis.
Well, this is why this is the first episode, so we can work these kinks out now.
We're as unexperienced with this as Pratchett is.
Yeah, that was the whole bit that I was playing at the start of.
Exactly.
This way people can just skip to, like, the middle of the series.
Well, they can listen to this one if they're interested in completion's sake, which, if you're listening to this podcast, we're going to assume that you are interested in completion's sake.
Hi.
Congratulations.
You've won. Congratulations. You've 100% of the podcast.
You did it. PlayStation trophy. Anyways, they're in Dragontown, and there's a very cool and hot lady who is... she's the queen of the dragons, and she imagines the dragons for everyone else, because... nobody else here can imagine dragons, I guess.
Or is it... I thought it wasn't, like, other people could? Like, her brother certainly can.
It's sort of unclear, where it's like, some people can, like... you gotta have, like, quote, the gift, unquote, where some people can imagine them really good, and other people just can't at all?
Yeah, some people have the power, which is apparently directly proportional to, like, how much you believe in dragons and how good you are at imagining them.
Well, these people appear to have absolutely no culture other than riding these fucking dragons around. I'm not too surprised that none of them have any imagination, because, like, they don't have any libraries or whatever. They don't have any kind of art. They just have a bunch of fucking imaginary dragons and a bunch of rings mounted in the ceiling.
So that they can walk on them with their fancy hook-ed boots.
I did wonder how they kept blood from pooling in their heads. That must have happened a lot.
Well, it's applied their magic, right? Because when, like, or something, because when they put the boots on Rincewind and, like, hook him to one of the hooks, he gets the sensation of, like, his world turns upside down, so he feels like he's right side up. And then there's a weird joke about how Liessa's boobs are still, like, lifted.
Yeah, doing quote-unquote interesting things to their anatomy.
Yeah.
I think that's more just his perspective spinning around, and he's still, like, he's still super disoriented, but it doesn't really matter, because he's carrying Hrun's magical sword, and the sword is magic enough that it just swings itself.
Yeah, like, he doesn't... Yeah, there's a nice mental image of, like, the sword is kind of doing all the murder on its own, and Rincewind is very much along for the ride.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
As an aside, does Rincewind just fucking drop the sword at some point? Because, like, in the middle of that fight with the dude, it doesn't mention him losing it or anything, but just suddenly he goes after the dude with both hands.
Yeah.
And
like,
Kring Kring must have, I guess, fallen upward?
Yeah, like,
No,
at some point it's just
Hrun
gone.
gets him
like,
back later, right?
Well, because Rincewind does get, like, knocked off at some point, and then Two Flower saves him with his imagined dragon. But,
Fair. But, like,
there's a-
Kring just fucking vanished as far as I could tell.
yeah,
It's
because,
just-
like, even later, like, Hrun doesn't have him.
Kring died on the way back to his home schedule.
Here lies Kring. They never scored.
Hey, Kring, it said earlier, Kring will not suffer a scabbard.
But Kring certainly does, like, complain a lot about, like, well, one time I was at the bottom of a well for 1,000,000 years.
Yeah, he really doesn't fucking shut up.
That's fucking sucked. You ever done that?
I mean, I'd probably have a lot of trouble not talking about my trauma like that too, but, you know.
Well, now he's going to get ignored for 40 books, so...
God,
Bye,
yeah,
Kring.
now he's at the bottom of a mountain that nobody will ever remember exists again.
Bye,
Let's
Kring.
just write a fan fiction where he goes off and has, I don't know, lots of sword babies or something.
That's right, baby. Vring was trans the whole time.
Somebody finally beats her into a plowshare.
Oh yeah, that was a whole thing.
Good
Is
for
getting
her.
is
Good for
getting
her.
beaten into a plowshare sword TF?
I think so.
Oh, absolutely.
Like swords have like a bunch of TF art where it's like someone getting turned into a plowshare.
I mean, it's all about getting super hot and melted down and I mean, that's you could write something about that.
I can see
That's
that.
sword force femming, let's be honest with
Yes.
ourselves.
Sword
This is the
spinning.
moment where we reveal what sort of podcast this is.
All swords are boys and all plowshares are girls.
Look, it's either that or you beat it into a rapier or something.
Yeah. A true sword lesbian. Holy shit.
Ah, beautiful. Some
Amazing.
swords is gay.
Sword lesbian with a sword lesbian.
Or you could beat it into a pair of daggers in case you wanted to be bisexual. It was like, wasn't it like in Japanese where like the term for bisexual was literally like dual wielding? Or was that Greek?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I'm pretty sure that's Japanese, because I've seen that too recently.
Well, that fucking whips.
Yeah, I know, it rules. Yeah, because I saw it in the context of some Kamen Rider stuff, I think.
So, on the recap, it's actually kind of weirdly unclear exactly how everything ends with the Wormberg. They just kind of leave and then end up on an airplane.
Yeah, it's Hrun fights Liessa's brother for the brothers for becoming the new Lord of Wormberg. And
there's a whole thing where there are 3 heirs to the throne of Wormberg. So in the beginning there was the guy. I don't remember his name, but he was like the guy in charge of Wormberg. Liessa killed him, but he didn't die because he hadn't chosen an heir yet. So he's just this powerful wizard hanging around. And Liessa wants a husband because it's her and her 2 brothers, and she's clearly the best, but blah blah, patriarchal nonsense.
Yeah.
And so she wants to marry Hrun because, she feels like she can control him, and also he's big and strong, so she has him fight her brothers to the death, and then...
Which he's totally cool with, to be clear.
Yeah, which both of them want. Like, Hrun is absolutely on board with this. There's a whole thing where he's like, well, I've tried marrying maidens before, and they're not into it. Like, it's fun for a while, but then I try to rescue other maidens, they don't like that, blah, blah, blah. But, like, he looks at Liessa and he's like, well, she's hot and rich, so yeah, sure. I could do this. He wants to do this.
Hot, rich, and could probably kick his ass.
Yeah, and there's a whole thing where, like, he beats her brothers, and, like, he's about to marry... And then she wants to sex fight him, and then Rincewind sees this. Rincewind and Two Flower see this. They rescue him. Hrun is like, you jerks, like, I wanted to be there. And then that's kind of the last we hear from him.
Well, no, I think, no, he falls off of Rincewind and Two Flowers Dragon, and Liessa catches him, and then they start making out again.
Oh, good for them.
So it's kind of implied that they end up together, I thought.
Good for them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I don't think Crunch shows up again.
2 lines, so I don't blame you for missing it. It's a very much like, and he left, and it's fine.
He's gone.
Bye.
He's gone now. Bye.
Good for him. Good for both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope
I'm
they go
glad
off
he
and-
married a dragon lady or whatever.
You go, girl. Hashtag girl boss.
Okay, Harun is briefly mentioned like midway through the series, so apparently it doesn't work out, but we don't know why.
Well,
maybe
maybe
the mountain.
Yeah, it'll be like 10, 15 books before that shows up.
Oh, there is a thing where so like when everyone's talking about dragons, Rincewind is like, I've seen dragons. They're mostly shitty because there's like a dichotomy between swamp dragons, which are just like, these scaly creatures that roll around in the mud, which are different from true dragons, which are the things you have to imagine.
ho 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 ho.
Oh, right.
Ho
Yeah,
ho ho ho.
Okay. The weird thing is that he says that the swamp dragons have all been killed off.
Yeah.
Which that is patently untrue, but that's as much as we're going to talk about dragons for now.
Now we have to talk about airplanes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah! Oh,
That part
I wanted
was
to talk
fucking
about this
weird.
so much! I wanted to talk about this so much. Okay, sorry. I
Talk
love,
us up, Iris.
literally my favorite thing in anything ever is when it's not set in modern day, and then they do a scene where they reveal that part of it, for whatever reason, is actually set in modern day, because it is always objectively the stupidest thing ever.
That was a fucking terrible scene. Like,
Oh my god.
it's unclear what's going on. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't really do anything other than serve as how they get dumped into the water. But it sure wasn't in the book.
Yeah.
God, I don't really understand it at all.
It's there because you don't expect a modern day thing to be in a fantasy book.
You don't expect Rincewind to wish he was somewhere else and then him and Two Flower are like teleported, or like, no, they shift into an AU where they are their present sonas. And they are flying back home or whatever. They're on a plane. And then the luggage shows up, and then they wish themselves back into the Discworld.
There's a plane hijacking that they stop while they're there, which, like, that joke really doesn't fucking land in the same way in 2020 that it did in 83.
Oh boy.
Like, to explain this, there's another podcast I listen to because it's all I fucking do because I'm stuck inside. But there's another podcast I listen to called Behind the Bastards that covered quote, the golden age of airline terrorism, unquote. And like back in the middle of the 20th century, like it wasn't until like the late 80s, early 90s that they really set hard laws for what was and wasn't okay on planes. And until then, it was a reasonably popular pastime for people to just like hijack planes and say, okay, we're going to Cuba now. Because it was this like long running rumor that like Cuba would like take in anybody who decided to hijack a plane and bring it over to Cuba.
Oh, that explains all those jokes in my dad's old Mad magazines.
Yeah, it was a big thing that we've just forgotten about because 9/11 totally, utterly changed what plane hijackings mean to people after it happened. Because nobody had done anything on that scale before then.
It is very much.
Hijacking a plane used to be kind of a fun time activity for the whole family.
Yeah, people were like, well, we're going somewhere different, but I guess I'll see the Caribbean. That's interesting. And now, like, it's so, reading it now is just like, whoa.
This is hardly a defense, but I guess in a rare moment of continuity between the chapters, Rincewind just does not fucking want to live in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
He wants to be in fucking modern society. Because he was yelling about, why don't we harness the lightning or whatever bullshit, and that whole bit that just completely falls apart because he dwells on it too long.
There is a decent bit where, well, there's a weird bit because Rincewind is like Indian, like from Indian, and he's a doctor of nuclear blah blah whatever. And there's a scene where like I think it's Two Flowers' present Sona is unconscious. And like, you're a doctor, can't you help him? I'm not that kind of doctor. I'm not the kind of doctor that can help people, which is both a parallel to the fact that Rincewind is a shitty wizard, and also, like, it's a joke I have a soft spot for.
Yeah, that...
I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not the useful kind of doctor.
A science doctor of science.
Yeah. Anyways, if I can get off my ass, I'm still gonna go for my PhD.
Good luck.
Hell yeah.
Look, it's mostly so I can be Dr. Lovelace.
Hot.
I mean, that would be extremely cool.
Collecting titles is a worthwhile ambition.
It's
Yeah,
true.
that's why when I was in high school, I got myself ordained. I called myself captain because I had a boating license.
Nice.
Oh my god. So you were the Reverend Captain Grace Danger Lovelace.
Yeah, except I had my much less cool death name at the time.
You know, retcon. We have all
Yeah,
had our
yeah.
coolest possible names since birth, of course.
Oh, of course.
Naturally.
Can I
But yeah,
retcon
so-
my actual last
anyways-
name right now?
What?
Can I?
Sure.
Okay, cool. I'm changing.
I'm not
going
to tell you not to.
Hell yeah.
I'm not your dad.
But
It's kind of a weird thing to say. Anyways,
He would hate me changing my last name, but anyways, then they get out of the airplane and they're not in an airplane.
Yeah, they're
anymore.
just
It's
out.
just done. That bit is over. Mm-hmm. Okay.
and then they get stuck on the edge of the world because have we mentioned once during this entire episode that the Discworld is flat? Because I feel like we haven't.
it's a big flat disc on the back of 4 elephants on the back of a turtle.
Yeah, it's a big pizza pie.
Yeah, it's a reference to an existing cosmology, which, because of course...
It's just like our planet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like our planet, which is also flat.
Yeah, and on the back.
Well,
of four
welcome to the
elephants.
Discoverers, the world's first flat earther Discworld podcast.
Finally, we're getting to the truth here.
I'm Princess Grace, and hashtag research globe Earth.
Jesus.
Open your eyes.
The book does open up with the folks on the rim of the world trying to discover what exactly the nature of the world is and so forth. So I guess it's kind of cool that we kind of bookend it that way, even if the way that this thing ends means that nothing feels like it has a bookend on the end. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does start with, like, we basically hung a guy from a fishing rod and sent them down there, and, like, and now that you mention it, the book, like, starts in Kroll and ends in Kroll.
Yes.
Both trying to figure out more about, this big turtle they're on. Which is cool. It's a reasonable way to structure it, I guess. It is not turtles all the way down, though. In this one,
No.
the turtle swims.
They meet
One turtle.
Yes.
They meet a weird water person, which
Yeah, and they said the
water
water person had fallen off of his own world and landed on the Discworld, so he's technically from, like, another universe, and that's another thing that kind of makes me think that, like, originally Pratchett imagined this as being like, oh, we're going to go to a different world in every book in the series or whatever.
Yeah,
same.
like, it's going to...
Discworld, then Cube World, then Taurus World.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be about, like, you kind of want, like, okay, it's going to be Rincewind and Two Flower and maybe this water troll just, like, driving their spaceship around.
One of these times they're just going to land in Riven, and we're just going to start becoming a MYST podcast instead.
that is the third podcast we could become.
If we did that, I would always call it Riven the sequel to MYST.
You gotta see the whole thing, Riven the sequel to Myst.
I know nothing about Myst except for like books. There's books in it.
Oh, the books are not...
You might say that you missed out.
I personally, I would say that I'm rather mystified.
I'm just glad you didn't...
Would you say that you're
no.
pissed about the situation?
No! Get John Goodman out of here!
Please.
All right. But yeah, they meet. I actually kind of really liked the joke of like the water dwarf falling off his own world. That was a good.
Oh, no,
bit.
that's a good bit. I forget, did they even mention that just like nobody really actually knows how the water gets back up onto the disc? It's just quote unquote arrangements are made.
Yeah. It's magic happens and it just works.
Yeah.
It's all you need to know.
Sometimes that's how it is.
I mean, I guess if you had to make up a reason, I get like maybe the 4 giant elephants drink it up and then spout it back up or something.
There's gravity and the sun and condensation and the water cycle.
Yeah.
And that's how it happens.
Again, it's much funnier that there is absolutely no explanation whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just arrangements are made.
I'm sure that if there is an explanation, we'll find it, given that we're going to read all 41 of these.
You ever realize how many months 41 is?
It's a lot.
It's a
like
little
2
over
years.
3.5 years, yeah.
There's a reason why I specifically said 2030 and not 2025.
I like you three people, though.
Yeah, same.
And I wanna,
Same.
It's also
I'm
like,
looking forward to it.
secretly, podcasts are just an excuse for me to talk to people who I think are cool.
Right?
So,
That's what I keep saying. It's an excuse to shoot the breeze with people you like.
yeah.
So
I'm going to be honest, just doing this has given me a good anchor for the week, so I appreciate this.
Like, do you think I'm starting a Homestar Runner sex podcast because I want to talk about whether strong bad fucks?
Are you seriously starting the Homestar Winter Sex podcast?
Yeah, me and Jim.
I agreed to do it with
Okay,
her.
well, if
Monday.
you need a guest on it, let me know, because,
Hell
I have
yeah.
opinions.
Gladly.
I agreed to do this.
If you're listening to this, whenever it goes live, look up Tight Pants, the podcast where we accentuate all the subtleties.
Did you really?
Oh, no.
Jesus Christ, Grace.
Oh, no.
Our sister podcast.
As far as I can tell, this podcast is mostly an excuse for Grace to cram as many bits into a podcast at once as possible. It's impressive, honestly.
I have no problem with this, honestly.
Yeah.
It is also an
It's
excuse to
wonderful.
hang out with cool people I like.
But, yeah, Rincewind and Two Flower get captured by the folks from Krull. They get taken back to the...
Krull, their capital city.
I keep thinking of the one movie Krull with the five-bladed glaive that you could whip around, but it's not that Krull, different Krull. And the head priest there is like, I got word from Fate. You remember Fate from the Calling of the Eight? That guy.
I at least appreciate, hey, you very directly pissed off our god. Like, he sent down orders to sacrifice you two specifically.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good bit.
Yeah, like, it's really good that, like, you know, throughout the book we get this, like, okay, like, Fate is trying his damnedest to kill these guys. He set Belshammarath and so on and so forth. And then, like, there's a good scene where, like, Fate shows up and, like, hey, Death, can you take care of this guy for me, please? And Death is like, no, can't do. There's a plague I have to go do. And to the point where Fate says, like, apparently he goes to the Krull folks and says, look, I don't normally do this, but if you kill these guys for me, I will smile upon your spaceship thing. Mm-hmm. And there's also a good thing here where they, with GoldenEye's Silverhand, who is this master craftsman who he built the light dams of wherever, and then they gouged out his eyes so that he couldn't make anything like it again, and then he made something else and they cut off his hand, and so he couldn't make it again, and
yeah, I remember.
After he makes the spaceship they just shoot him.
Yeah, he has some pretty shit
There's a bit
luck.
where he feels the crossbow bolt in his chest, says shoddy craftsmanship.
Okay, that is
dies.
one more thing I really want to talk about with this book. This book is so fucking cynical. Holy shit. This book kills characters constantly and just...
It's pretty bleak.
Yeah, like, and Two Flowers presented as naive because he, like, you know, because
sees the best in people.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
to a ludicrous degree, like, he expects to explain his way out of Belshammarath manifesting and devouring reality.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
it's wild how cynical this book is, considering how not cynical later books get.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, a lot of the cynicism comes, again, in the first chapter in Ankh-Morpork, which, again, it's London, and, okay, yes, fine, but, like, Ankh-Morpork is still a ludicrously dangerous place through the rest of the series. It's just more cheerfully dangerous.
Yeah.
It feels more like an actual place eventually, and there's actual, like... This doesn't feel like a book about a real place. This feels like a book that's making fun of you at times for thinking that there would be good outcomes or things would go well or that anything would happen that wasn't just a setup for a joke.
Yeah, it's extremely cynical, like to the point where when Rincewind winds up, like, he's... Because kind of the part of the one of the running themes of the book is, Rincewind especially ends up in these ludicrously dangerous situations, and he is, saved by the intervention of luck, either explicitly or that's kind of implied. And even then, when it's like, oh, he got swallowed up by the trees, like, he got rescued by these dryads. Oh no, they want to sacrifice him or something bad, of course. He's a prisoner. Nothing ever...
Right.
It's like y'all were saying, relentlessly cynical to the point where it's like, oh, wow, thanks. Like, can a single good thing happen?
I think that a thing that Pratchett learns pretty quickly is that it's funny if somebody is afraid for their life. It's not funny if you kill them.
Yeah.
So he hovers threats much better. And again, like the character of Vetinari is just an absolute master of making people afraid even when they don't really have much need to be, because that's getting way off topic, but again, it uses fear much better than it uses an actual body count.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to burn down the fucking city ever again.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely an improvement in later books. I just noticed it because of that scene where he just randomly kills this architect for what amounts to a joke.
And it seemed like he had a cool story. Like, shit.
I will at least defend. You've got the last words being, "Oh, this thing you're using to kill me has shoddy craftsmanship."
Yeah.
That's a good bit.
joke.
Oh no, it's a good joke. It's just not the joke you expect from Pratchett.
It was a good joke, and I liked Golden Eyes as a character. I thought he was pretty good. I liked the, why do you keep doing this shit if, like, people keep maiming you when you do it? I'm good at it.
Right. No, okay,
Mood.
yes.
That's a big mood right there.
A similar character will come up later. I'm not going to say anything about him, though.
Oh, yes. Of course. Can't wait.
Can we talk about how, like, basically, through this whole back half of the book, Two Flowers' Luggage, the Luggage, is like,
which we have barely mentioned this entire podcast.
Which is Two Flowers' sapient pearwood luggage, which is fiendishly doing its best to protect its master and find him.
I would also like to mention that it has a mouth.
Yeah, they do talk a lot about this luggage's maw and how it does eat people.
And it also has okay, so I gotta ask y'all this. Like, it keeps talking about hundreds and hundreds of tiny feet. I've seen some official art for Discworld.
Oh, it's absolutely tiny little baby legs.
They make them human feet. I really fucking hate that. I don't know why they have to be human feet. It's the worst. They couldn't just make them maybe little pegs or something, like little wooden pegs.
Yeah, I was imagining like pegs or like little wood protrusions.
They're little paws.
No, it's like it's being carried by a billion Cabbage Patch babies.
They're big, meaty human feet with toes. That's the worst thing to think about. No wonder people are scared of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, even before, again, he really talks about how it has a bunch of teeth and a big tongue and this big old luggage maw that will eat you.
He mentions the teeth of the tongue maybe about 2 times too many for me to not think that it's sort of vaguely maybe a vor thing. Like,
I did definitely write down everyone's horny for the luggage maw.
He does not know about this, but he's definitely suffering some... He's definitely suffering some feelings about this. He's got some Don Bluth going on here.
Welcome to the podcast where we read every single Discworld book and then try and extrapolate onto Sir Terry's personal kinks.
Look, when we actually start making up stat cards, we are absolutely putting how horny it is and in which ways it's horny. Horny is a fucking web. It is not a slider.
The horny matrix.
In case you were wondering what sort of podcast this is or who hosts it, now you know.
4-dimensional horny cube.
Please enter my horny 4th-dimensional dryad tree.
Dying.
There is a classic, if it's cliched, of course, but someone says, "Oh, you don't, I think it's basically Rincewind and Two Flower they're about to be sacrificed, so they are the Krullians." Krulbanoids.
The Krullers.
Grab them and put them in the lap of luxury. And there's a whole exchange. I am the guest guy. I am here to make sure you're happy because, well, you're about to be sacrificed to make sure our spaceship do good. And It's like, oh, what's your name? My name is Immaterial. Oh, that's a pretty name. You know, it's a good bit.
It's an old bit, but it's always classic.
Yeah, like, you know, well, maybe it's because I'm trans and I expect to say, oh, you know, thank you, I picked it out myself, you know?
Then they throw themselves off the end of the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a whole thing where they overpower the astronauts, steal their clothes. There's a lot of slapstick that happens.
And they jump off. They ride this spaceship shaped like a big bronze fish off the edge of the Discworld. And Rincewind gets stuck on the outside. He like ends up getting caught on a tree branch, and then he ends up falling again. And then like the book just comes to a dead halt, and that's it.
Yeah, there's some birds there. He has a conversation with Scrofula, which is one of Death's subordinate deaths, because much is made about when a wizard dies, Death comes to claim him himself instead of delegating it to one of his subordinate deaths, such as fireballs or explosions or.
It's bizarre that like those don't come up ever again, but something thematically like that will come up as soon as we start having a dedicated Death book.
Yeah, the concept of Death having subordinates does come up again, but not in this shape at all. And then the book is just like, it's over.
Yeah, it just ends.
Done. I like turn the page and there's the about the author, and it's like, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And, the next book apparently picks up where this one leaves off.
Literally seconds later.
I guess is like, I guess it makes sense if you're trying to serialize it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's coming off like the end of a Republic serial.
Yeah, as in, you know, this is your cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. So, just to wrap things up, why don't we, at the end of every show, like I mentioned, part of the show is about rating every Discworld book. I'd say that this book has definitely earned, out of all of the Discworld books we've read so far, it's definitely the best.
I don't know. I mean,
and I will fight you to the death. I will say that it is the worst one we've read so far.
Oh shit, you're right.
Congratulations, and also we're sorry, The Color of Magic, for being one out of a possible one.
I personally, I don't know. I think I liked The Color of Magic, but is it really better than The Color of Magic? Like, can we really say that?
Just not
sure. If you think about it, the real Color of Magic was the friends we made along the way.
No, it's Octarine.
No, wait, shit, it was Octarine. Yeah. They were very clear about that. Shit. Fuck. I made a fool of myself on the podcast.
Oh, no!
Grace, you're starting a Homestar Runner sex podcast. That shouldn't be something you're worried about.
I mean, like, look, you start a Homestar Runner sex podcast, you know what's gonna happen. But this is a Discworld, this is a thinking ladies podcast.
Oh. I'm gonna have to leave then. I'm sorry. This is my last episode. I didn't realize you had to think.
We work out at the library that has at least one book.
And it's run by an orangutan.
No, it's not. He's not an orangutan yet.
Oh shit, you're right. Oh no, spoilers! Oh,
I knew this one from TV tropes. But
good.
Yes.
Well,
again, there's a lot of like. It's like I've never seen the Star Wars films, or at least I've never seen them and remembered them. Mm-hmm. But I have an idea of some of the things that happen in them through like pop cultural osmosis.
I will say you will know less than you think about Discworld, just because there's a lot of it and it goes in interesting directions.
Yeah, it's also been many years.
Do know that the librarian is my perfect son, and if anything happens to him, I'm going to kill everyone in this room and then myself.
So do y'all have any like closing thoughts on the book itself?
I think any thoughts that I've got are just going to be a cliffhanger anyways, and not because I forgot to read the last third of the book before we started recording.
Hey, you know, it really doesn't matter, though.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, there's not all that much like, there's not a lot that happens in this book. Like,
yeah.
It's just kind of a serial.
But yeah.
I will say, I enjoyed it. I honestly, with how much people talked it down, I expected it to be worse than it was. But it was passable. It was which fine. Is fine.
Like, it's passable, it's forgettable. I would probably put this right next to, like, the Myth Adventures series, frankly. It has about that much impact by itself.
If this had been where Discworld ended, I feel like this would have had about the influence as other stuff like this.
It's fine. I honestly would not have finished it if I didn't, like, A, have this podcast, and B, know it gets better. Mm-hmm. And frankly, I wouldn't have, if I had known that there were better books in the series to start with, I probably would have read those many years ago and enjoyed them.
Yeah, I'm sure that there will be at least 3 different episodes where Iris, June, or myself will go, okay, this is the one that I actually got started on, and this is why this is objectively the right decision, and we will all argue about them every single time, and that's just going to be a hallmark of this fucking series.
That's the really fun part. Which one is the best?
I want us to get far enough in that we can argue about it.
Fight for me, book nerds.
My answer's guards. I'm excited to hear what yours are.
Oh man, I think my personal favorite is probably Small Gods, but I think the best might be Night Watch. But also, I worry that Night Watch doesn't hold up unless you've read the other Guards books.
I'm sort of in this weird position where, when I first started reading these, I loved Rincewind above all else, but I very rapidly went, oh, no, Vimes is the best.
Yeah.
And
also, don't forget the Witches, too. The Witches fucking rules.
I haven't read a lot of the Witches. That's one of the things I'm most excited for. I haven't read a lot of them.
The last time I read the Witches, the last time I read the Witches was, 10, 15 years ago, so I kind of hated them, but, I also thought I was a dude then, so I had very bad opinions.
Yeah. I really liked the Witches, too. I think one of my other favorites was Carpe Jugulum, the one about the weird neoliberal vampires.
Yes, the vampires.
Yeah.
Yes.
My god, I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to that.
Oh my god, this is going to be so much fun.
My personal favorite book in all of Discworld is still Night Watch, and I am excited to get to that one because that is going to be the episode where I just make everyone else shut up so I can talk for like 2 hours straight.
No, that's going to be great.
Absolutely
I love it so much.
But yeah, cool. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody.
Truly it was the color of magic.
This has been Disc Coverers. Please make sure to subscribe on whatever podcast listening service you're using for future updates. We're going to be putting these out once a month because I don't think these books get longer, and I don't think any of us want to try to read entire novels in like any time shorter than a month. That seems very daunting because we're all adults.
I do, but like that's not something I want anyone else to have to do.
Yeah, we're already reading 41 of these things. I'm not going to make anybody like speed read them.
In theory, I mean, this is a wild hypothetical, but other people might listen to this podcast someday, and they might actually want to try to keep up with it. So
read along, make it fun. Do something long and difficult and weird, and then say that you've done it to other people, and watch them go like, "Oh, huh, okay." And you're like, aren't you impressed?
You'll be able to win an argument someday by saying, I've read every Discworld novel, and here's why you're wrong about Turtle.
You can write into our podcast and tell us how stupid we are for saying that The Color of Magic was better than
The Color of Magic.
The Color of Magic,
That's
I guess.
True. I should set up an email account for this.
Do people still use email?
If you want to use any of my domains, you're welcome to. If you'd like to be at hypnovirus, illegalpornography.com, internetpro.me, cognitohazardo.us. I think I'm forgetting one.
I need to get the domain I bought set up already. I don't know what to put there. But I own bimbo.city if anyone wants to put something there.
I literally work in web hosting and I don't have any domains.
I'll put the email to our official show email into the description for this podcast episode because I need to edit it down as well. But yeah, did y'all want to plug your various social medias, projects, stuff like that, places where other folks can find you?
I'm on Twitter at Juniper Theory. I'm on Mastodon at Junebug at slime.global. And then mostly the only thing I really do is I stream on Twitch sometimes. If you want to watch me on Twitch, that's at Juniper Theory. Also, I'm maybe going to be doing a Homestar Runner Sex podcast with Grace. I'd like to once again mention that, just because I have to mention it enough times to make it real in my mind.
I do believe in Homestar Runner Sex podcast.
No.
I need to hear the first episode that just to believe that it exists and that it has at least 2 legs on it somewhere.
Anyways, go on Twitter and talk to me about Blazeball.
I know not to doubt your power, but
I think it depends on which character we're talking about because the cheat doesn't have legs.
Yeah, he's just kind of like got a Trivial Pursuit cheese wedge sort of situation.
I'm gonna get enough Homestar Runner in my life soon. We can't do it here too.
Then
Someone
again,
else
like
plug
Marzipan
themselves.
does Marzipan have one big leg? Anyways,
Grace, where can we find you?
Hi, I'm the internet's beloved Princess Grace. You can find me on the Fediverse at social.illegalpornography.com. Don't worry about it, it's just a name. There's no illegal pornography there, just the pornography I write myself. You can find my weird little tools and toys at hypnovir.us. That's Hypnovirus. You can find my writing at perfect.hypnovirus. And I'm also gay. Next time we do this, I will hopefully have a Homestar Runner Sex podcast to plug, but for now you can listen to my other podcast, Warehouse 69, where we watch the sci-fi original series, Warehouse 13, at anchor.fm/Warehouse 69. Thank you.
Another delightful sister series. And BALINA?
I guess I'm on Twitter at WolfCow, that's WOLFCAU. I can't even remember to spell it myself most of the time. I'm on Mastodon at BALINA, BALINA, at cybre.space. That's cyber spelled with an RE for some reason. I don't have nearly as much stuff that I'm nearly as proud of as Grace does, but hey, maybe I'll come up with something. Hell, I don't even know if I'm introducing myself as BALINA next time. We'll figure that out together, won't we?
Fancy.
And Iris, you plug your stuff. You have
yes.
like the actual stuff that should be plugged.
Yeah.
Nah. I'm Iris. I'm at Iris J Comics on Twitter. I'm also at Iris J Comics on Mastodon.social. You can also visit my website, irisj.net. I do a webcomic called Crosswires, crosswires.irisj.net. And I have a Patreon, patreon.com/irisj, where you can support me monetarily if you like my work. Yeah, I've got, and I have, speaking of fantasy things, the other fantasy thing I did this week, I'm on a charity D&D live stream now. It's called The Help Action. You can check it out at twitch.tv/The Help Action at 7 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday night. Right now we're raising money for the Transgender Law Center. And it's been a really exciting campaign. I'm working with some great people, including my partner and including some other artist folks. And it's going to be a hell of a time. If you like goofing around in fantasy worlds, which I assume you do because you're listening to a Discworld podcast, you may also enjoy that.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, thank you very much. And we will be back next month, December 2020, to talk about the next book in the series, The Light Fantastic. So until next time... Do we have like a good sign-off line that we could come up with here?
We could say, truly it was the color of magic. That's what I do for Warehouse 69.
After every single book?
Keep on discovering.
Go read Pratchett, it's good.
Yeah, go read it.
It's going to be my sign-off. Just go read Pratchett. Pratchett's good.
We promise it'll get more fun.
Believe in your dreams.
Don't let your dreams be memes.
Truly it was a Discworld.
Have a good night. Hey folks, Iris J here. Just wanted to add a quick postscript to this inaugural episode of Disc Coverers. Since recording this, I've set up a website for the show at anchor.fm/discpod. That's DISCPOD. You should be able to find future episodes there as well as a link to our RSS feed. You can also find us on Spotify, Apple Music, and Google Music, where I hope you'll also consider rating and reviewing us. That would be super helpful. We also have a Twitter account at DiscPod and a Mastodon account at discpod@queer.party, where you can keep up with episode updates, discussions, the ranking list, and any other Discworld-related ship posting we might do in the future. Finally, if you'd like to drop us a line directly, you can hit up our email address at disc@hypnovir.us. That's DISC@hypnovir.us. Who knows? Maybe we'll read your letter on the air. Finally, I think I already said finally. Whatever. Finally, thanks so much for listening. I realize this first episode is a little bit loosey-goosey in parts, but I hope you had as much fun hearing it as we did recording it. And hey, if reading a novel a month doesn't seem too preposterous to you, why not follow along with us? If nothing else, it'll be a great excuse to patronize your local public library or independent bookstore. Just remember to stay socially distanced. Order online if possible. Anyways, once again, thanks for listening. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands, cover your face, and all that shit. And don't forget, trans rights.